shifting security situation here at home. The government is walking a tightrope in its ongoing security crackdown. Damned if you do and damned if you don't kind of scenario. And the question many are asking, is the government on the right path on the war on terror, or could it be that the approach is totally misguided? We have live in studio tonight Inspector General National Police Service, David Kimaiyo. Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking time to come. Interesting, you said that you're Inspector General National Police Service. Everyone calls you Inspector General of Police.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you for this opportunity you have given me.
All right, how has the operation been so far? How much would you say that the operation has achieved?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, viewers. Thank you all the people of the Republic of Kenya. I want to take this opportunity to really expound very, very clearly on the issues of the security operation that we have conducted all over the country. At the moment, this particular operation, as it was launched during the beginning of this month, it was purposely to eradicate criminals or incidences of criminals within the midst of the public. And therefore, as we launched this particular important operation, due to some emerging incidences of crime that have been committed against the human beings in this country, and therefore we were able to launch the operation.
But how
the
much
operation started on 5th of this July and month of April 2014, and therefore it is a continuous exercise that now we are entering into the third week. And the march that we have achieved so far is very tremendous. We have been able to address the issues of those persons without documentation. We have been able to address the issues of individual criminal persons that in one or another may be connected with certain incidences of crime that they commit in our country.
Can I ask you to explain how it's being carried out?
Yes.
Okay, could you explain how it's being carried out?
Well, thank you very much. This operation was well planned in such a way that it was to target the hotspot areas or areas that we think it is prone to incidences of crime, and it is all over the country. We were not planning an operation that was only targeting the areas that people sometimes report in the media that we were only targeting Isli, where sometimes certain communities live in that particular area. And the way we conducted the operation is in such a way that it was very systematic, that we were not going in to harass any members of public. We were not going in to in any way subject anybody to any torture or that kind of an incident where sometimes people complain.
All right.
So therefore, the operation was only to target criminal individual persons. As we move in, it was an operation that it was to house, identify yourself. We connect you with anything that we shall be able to get in your house for the purposes of commission of crime.
We'll come to that in a while. Could you clarify, is it incidents of crime or terrorism?
Well, when we talk of incidences of crime, it includes the issue of terrorism, it includes the issues of robbery with violence, carjacking, burglaries, housebreaking, and all manner of other incidences of crime that individual criminal person commit in the midst of the public.
Is it an ID that's needed? Is it only an ID that's needed? Because some may have waiting cards, some may even be underage, some may have other identification documents. So how do you know whether someone is Kenyan or not?
Well, this is very simple exercise in such a way that if you are a Kenyan and you have your documents, or if you are a foreigner, you have your documents, definitely when the police request to see those documents, then you will have to produce them. And as you produce documents, they will be able to verify that these are your proper documents, it has your photographs, it has your all the details, and you'll be able to respond very quickly. But where you may not be able to adequately provide the requisite information that the police require, then that becomes subject of further screening. And that's why you are being taken to our screening center at Kasarani, and we go for further details
which
of those documents.
Which will come to in a bit. You mentioned if you're Kenyan, then you'll be able to produce the documents and verified. What about foreigners with alien cards? Are they allowed to stay?
Well, anybody who has a proper authorized document, be it an alien card, be it a refugee card, be it a permit, or probably your passport, definitely you'll be able to be allowed, so long as the authorization was done properly. At the same time, the documents are valid.
Okay, so you obviously dig into it to ascertain that they are valid. The refugees with alien cards, how did they move from the camps? It's the government that allowed them at some point to move along to other places. So now, what kind of limitations would they have?
Well, the government in one way or another might have allowed them through the normal process of the law within our country, and others sometimes they must avoid document in one way or another. At the same time, others may have left a camp without any authorization at all. And these are the things that we are looking for. But remember, Janet, here that we are not really going for persons who are aliens or refugees or what. Our main focus is to ensure that we target criminal elements within our midst.
Yeah.
That is the main objective of this operation.
And I know you've mentioned that you're not targeting particularly aliens or foreigners, but again, that's something that we'll come back to later, given some of the concerns that have been raised about the operation. Let's look at roadblocks. There are roadblocks all over, and yet you find that a lot of these criminals are still making their way around the country. Why aren't they being apprehended at those particular points?
Well, thank you. That's a very important and good question. Remember, some time back, we removed all the roadblocks in our country. And we only say that we mount roadblocks on our roads when the need arises. And immediately that we have addressed that need, then there should be no roadblocks. And in this particular case, we have mounted roadblocks almost everywhere, where we are targeting a number of criminals. And therefore, as we mount these roadblocks, again, the criminal will be able to get information that the police have laid a roadblock at a certain point. You cannot mount a roadblock almost everywhere.
So they circumvent the roadblocks.
They circumvent the police roadblocks, and they enter into some parts of the country. Again, we are also using intelligence to be able to gather information and say there are some criminals who diverted from the main cause of the roadblock, and we should be able to follow them.
Can I go back to what I'd asked you? If the foreigners with alien cards, are they allowed to stay and make their way into urban centers? Could you clarify that for us?
Well, thank you very much.
Or should they all go back?
During this particular operation, we are saying there are only 2 gazetted refugee camps. We have Kakuma refugee camp and we have Dadaab refugee camp. And therefore, during this particular period of this operation and before the operation, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Interior, Coordination of National Government, was able to give 2 weeks' time for all the aliens, for all the refugees who have the valid documentation to proceed to the refugee camps that have been extended for them. There should be no urban refugee that will be able to move around, but they should go back to the camp. Okay. Therefore, we are not allowing that.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. Obviously, they'd all have to go back.
All
That's
of
what you're
them,
saying.
they must go because of the purpose of this operation, so that they can also be screened further, wherever they are. And then we confirm that these are genuine refugees, and they have been one way or another not involved in any incident of crime.
So no refugees in urban centers. For how long?
Well, this is a continuous process, and I can tell you for sure, we are going to sustain it, and it will take us, so long as we still have incidences of crime or criminals moving around, we have to sustain this operation. All
right. Before we move on to some of the other matters, just a reminder that you can interact with us on social media. You can use the hashtag The Big Question on Twitter or SMS us on 22422. We'll try and sample some of your views towards the end of this newscast. Inspector General, there are concerns from some sections about how this operation is being carried out. I'd like you to listen to what a section of religious leaders had to say. Let's take a listen.
We call upon the security agencies to handle the ongoing operation in a humane manner. The dignity of life should at all times remain a priority.
You cannot fight terrorism through soups. You cannot expect to go to a place 3, 4, 5 days and expect the terrorists to still be waiting for you to arrest them. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
How would you want to respond to that?
Well, thank you very much. I think the leaders have come out very strongly that the operation must be conducted in a very humane way. And to us, I can tell you for sure, Janet, this is a well-comprehensive planned operation. And the manner that the officers have been conducting this operation so far, I can say they are above overboard. They handle the operation in a very humane way.
Can
You have seen it
yeah.
for the first time.
Can I interrupt you there? Are concerns about harassment, corruption, in terms of bribing? Police have denied this, and obviously evidence may be hard to come by. But how are you dealing with these allegations, because they're coming, and these concerns, because they're coming from a large section of people, and how sure are you that they're not happening?
Well, definitely, as I said earlier on, that reacting on what the leaders have said, especially the Archbishop, he has come out very, very clearly. And that is the way to conduct this operation. This operation has been conducted in a very humane way. At the same time, those who may be bringing issues to do with corruption, to do with harassment, to do with all sorts of things, including even sexual harassment. I think for the first time, we have been hearing people mentioning, but nobody so far up to now where I am seated has reported any case of harassment, has reported any case of sexual harassment, or any case of bribery as such. And we say it very clearly. If there is any of our officers who have been compromised, who is involved in the issue of bribery in this particular case, we shall deal with them very firmly.
So no report so far.
Let me tell you, Janet, at this point in time, that some of our officers whom we actually gave firm instruction that if anyone will be found to have been compromised in one way or another, not only on corruption issues and so forth, like for example, one officer released an information on the same. We have dealt with that particular officer, and he has been taken to court. Another one, in one way or another, assisted the prisoner to escape. He has also been arrested and put in custody, and they have been taken to court. So there is no individual direct person who has come to us and complained of any bribery and so forth. It is for us, as National Police Service, who detected this officer who released information, this officer who released or allowed the prisoner to escape from custody.
Allow me to ask, if for those who may be concerned, and for those who may have reasons that they deem valid enough with regards to harassment and corruption, who should they report to?
Well, it is very obvious that whenever there is any complaint, and we even announced earlier that if there is any case of any harassment, any case of somebody trying to bribe or blackmail and so forth, then first of all, we have our 99 call center. We have our 112 same call center. And at the same time, they report to the nearest police station, the OCS, the OSPD, the county commander. They will also report in any case if they think that those people may not handle the case. Then they can report as well to my deputies, the Deputy Inspector Generals, Kenya Police, Administration Police, Director of Criminal Investigation, or further to that, they can report to the Inspector General.
And how do they reach you? You mentioned a number. How do they reach you?
Well, definitely, I've already given my numbers, and even them, my officers, have given their numbers. We've shared with this, and they can be able to do that. Secondly,
you share them with us later, and then we'll run it out. The social media. Can I ask you something, Inspector General? There's still a lot of distrust from some people with regards to the police. How can the same people trust the police to protect them if they're still concerned about what's happening to them?
Well, thank you very much. And in this particular operation, I can tell you for sure, we have been receiving numerous reports from members of the public encouraging us that you continue with the operation. When you look at that kind of an encouragement, it actually fuels a lot of consensus, and the public have shown some confidence with the National Police Service. So when you see people calling and say, congrats for the good job that you have done, continue to relent, then definitely they start confidence that they have with us. And therefore, even if individual officer may not be the person who is directed to in those complaints, then I'm very sure they can be trusting most of us, and the report can reach us and we deal. Again, we have several other avenues of reporting. They can report to other places. Like, for example, now the local member of parliament, they can report to the chief, they can report to the county commissioner, they can report even to the member of parliament or other leaders that they have, and they can bring report to us. All
right, thank you for that. We're going to take a short break, and of course we'll be sampling some of your views shortly. When we come back with the Inspector General, we'll be tying the link between foreigners, flushing out foreigners, and terrorism. He's going to link that for us after the break. Remember, the big question, use the hashtag the big question, or text us on 22422. We're back after this break. National Police Service, David Kimaiyo. Let's continue with our discussion, Inspector General. And currently, authorities are flushing out foreigners. Clarify what the connection is to terrorism and whether this operation is intelligence-led.
Well, thank you very much once again. Yes, indeed, this operation is intelligence-led. And as we carry out the operation within our country, because as I said earlier, this operation is not only targeting one place or one area. We are covering Mombasa, we are covering Nairobi, covering parts of the Rift Valley, parts of Nyanza, Western Kenya, all over the country. And therefore, as we carry out operation under the auspice of the intelligence-led operation, then we are targeting all manner of criminal activities that is being committed in our country. And therefore, as part of this operation, we are also looking at those persons who may not have the proper documentation. Then, more importantly, on this particular area, Janet, is that
you're mentioning a crime. Let's focus on terrorism and whether that's where the war is. Because if you talk about criminal activities, then perhaps people would ask, why isn't it being taken larger to other areas across the country? So, is this a direct, focused fight on the war on terror? Because the president has said it. The deputy president has said it as well.
For sure, definitely. As we are talking about criminal activities, one of the key criminal activities that we are also targeting very clearly is those persons who in one way or another might have committed an act of terrorism at the same time, or they are planning to commit acts of terrorism.
So
and therefore, as we move in, we are narrowing out to suspects, which includes the persons who may not have the proper documentation in this particular case.
So it's terrorism-led?
Well, generally, we are targeting criminal activities which include the terrorist issues or terrorist activities that individual Kenyans in one or another might have been radicalized, or even foreigners who are in this country that commit atrocities of terrorism.
So with due respect, it's intelligence-led, that's what you've said, but does that say that it's where the problem is?
Well, the problem is that we are actually targeting all those persons who in one way or another might have caused terror, or they are planning to cause terror.
Yes.
At the same time, including the other criminal activities.
Yeah, the swoops, that is, intelligence, it's intelligence-led, you've already confirmed that. Does it say then the swoops is the way to go about capturing terrorists in Kenya?
Not only in Kenya. This is an international standard that we are carrying out this operation. You know, operations in many parts of the world are properly planned the way we have planned this one. So therefore, it is not just a swap, just to do a matter of swap without properly getting to know whom are we targeting. And therefore, as I said earlier, we have a plan. We have where we are targeting. We know the persons that the characteristics of the person that we are looking for may be A, B, C, D. And that's why when I said intelligence-led is equally the same as well-planned operation.
Do you have specific suspects that you're looking for? Are you looking into everyone?
Quite a number. We have suspects by names. We have also suspects that we suspect without having the names, and any man or person that we think in one or another may have committed a crime.
Why then
when it comes to terrorism?
Why then didn't you go for them directly if you already had their names and you had their profiles?
That's why we are carrying out the swap on intelligence-led, at the same time the general mop-up of all the areas where we are moving.
Let me interject you there, Inspector General. The swoop you said is for everyone. I think you just clarified that. It's to be able to identify people who may be terrorists across the board, but you already have, you said, names and profiles of terrorists through intelligence, so why not go directly to them? Why not look for them instead of carrying out the swoop?
Definitely, when we say that we have even individual targeted or names of persons that we target, in one or another we do not know where this person is living, or we know where he's living, but he has moved from the residence, and therefore that's why we carry out the swoop. So it is an issue that we know some of them by names, we know some of them sometimes even by physical, and we do not know majority of those people whom we are targeting for. And therefore the swoop, so that we can be able now to carry out a screen, at the same time to isolate who would be the suspected criminal or suspected terrorist, at the same time the innocent ones, and those persons who may not have the proper documentation.
All right, how do you respond to criticism that this operation amounts to ethnic profiling targeting Kenyan Somalis?
Well, thank you, Janet, for this particular question. This question, especially when it comes to the SWOP that we are carrying out. Let us isolate the security matters and political matters. And let us isolate some of the activism that is being expressed on this particular operation.
So you're denying?
We are carrying out a proper security operation in this country. Let us not mix the two. And therefore, as we carry out this operation, let us leave the security operators to carry out the operation the way they are planned. And if there are some complaint, or if anybody feels that he has been offended or she has been offended in one way or another, then they should be able to report to the journalists that I've just mentioned earlier. So we should not politicize this particular operation. We should not also do some kind of man of activism in this particular operation. Leave it to the security, and I thank Kenyans, a number of Kenyans, who have come out very strongly to support us on this particular operation.
The Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights has talked about violation of human rights and actually said that there is profiling that's been carried out in this operation. How would you want to respond to that?
Well, I invited the Chief Executive of the National Human Rights Commission and their commissioners. And by good luck, they came, the Chief Executive and one commissioner came. I took them round personally to Kasarani, where we are carrying out the screening, and there was nothing that they raised on the issues of human rights violation. I took another almost half an hour, 45 minutes, to explain the manner of operation that we are carrying out, to care to understand. Remember, these are new commissioners that have been appointed recently. So I needed them to care to understand the National Police Service responsibilities.
Right.
Remember, we are not a force now, we are a service.
Can I go back?
We administer and provide services as it is required of us.
Let's go back to what the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights have said. They say that they were only allowed to visit certain rooms, and they weren't allowed to visit the rooms where, at Kasarani, where a majority of people were being detained. They were even describing it as a PR exercise. What would you want to say to that?
Well, they are entitled to their own opinion. But personally, as I was present and I took them, I allowed them to move in, there was no single place that we did not open where we have people in Kasarani. And remember, this was being covered by the media. This was covered by other people whom we allowed them to come in. And therefore, we are the human rights persons, we are the media, we are the United Nations High Commission for Refugees representatives, and we had also some ambassadors who came to join us and visited that place. So
with all the good food, etc., it seems like some may say it's a PR exercise, so you're denying that?
Definitely. In fact, even we invited the Human Rights Chief Executive and the Commissioner to join the people who arrested and officers for lunch. And therefore, where is that issue of saying that this was a PR exercise? I
think the skepticism is that you might be hiding something, and that's what people are trying to get to the bottom of, whether or not you're hiding something, and perhaps parading, it doesn't seem like it's been opened up, and parading certain sections of it as PR. That's what they're saying.
Well, I think they should be able to look for somebody who is hiding something.
Okay.
I'm one of the persons who tells the truth, and I walk within the truth. And therefore, there's no way at my level, in my position, my age, to be able to hide anything to do with issues of human rights. I'm one of the persons who observe the human rights issues.
Is Kasarani a detention camp, as has been claimed, and how many people are being held there?
I think people should be able to care to visit some countries where they talk about detention. I don't think there's anywhere in this country where we are calling detention camp. They should be able to look elsewhere.
Not a detention.
Not in Kenya.
How many people are being held in Kasarani?
Well, we have processed quite a number of persons through the screening in Kasarani.
All right.
And we have screened over 1,000 people passing through that.
All right.
And a number of them, after screening, they have been released to go back home. Remember, we are not targeting a community. We are not targeting a citizen.
Okay.
So we have screened all persons who, in one way or another, were arrested for the purpose of screening.
All right, let me move on. Many attacks have gone unresolved over the last 2 years. Why then are we seeing this operation now? After all this time, why now?
Remember, we have been carrying out normal police operation and swaps all over the country. In most of the parts of the country, we have been doing it. Even in Nairobi here, we have been carrying out almost in every weekend some swaps. And therefore, we cannot say that it is only because of this time that we are carrying out an operation. But again, as we said earlier on, we are targeting individual persons, we are targeting persons who in one or another might have committed atrocities of crime. And in this particular case, it is the terror crime that we are looking for.
All right,
so terror suspects.
You've said that you've carried out swoops previously, but obviously there's a number, but doesn't seem like they were effective because we're back here again.
Well, there were some results. Definitely,
what results?
We arrested, well, I can tell you quite a number of illicit small arms and light weapons were recovered in previous swoops. A number of criminals who have been arrested, a number of recoveries of stolen properties, a number of even vehicles that were hijacked have been recovered.
And were these swoops all still focused on the war on terror?
Well, it is a general swoop that we target any criminal that we can be able to get.
But this one?
As a result of which it does. But in this particular one, we are targeting also the terror suspects in this particular area.
And it's a lot bigger, would you say? More resources, more people involved in this particular operation?
Well, for sure, I can tell you we have involved a large number of officers in this particular operation.
But then why?
And not only in Nairobi, but spread across the country.
I think then I go back to the question, why now are we having a larger team, more involvement? Because Westgate happened, and so there's a lot of others that have happened, a lot of terror attacks that have happened. So why now are we seeing a much more aggressive operation by the police?
Well, thank you very much, Janet, again. And this particular operation, as we said, we want to ensure that our people live in a safe environment. We want to see that there is safetyness in areas where we operate from. And therefore, as we witness incidents of terror here and there, we do not want to see the repeat of the same anymore. We have to deal with these people. And remember that most of our youth have been taken out of the country to be radicalized. They have come back committing some of this crime. Some of them, or some of the suspects are also foreigners. And therefore, we have to deal with this and once and for all. That's why we have involved a large number of people, depending on the area of coverage where we are covering in this particular operation.
You've talked about this is the way that you're trying to effectively do away with terrorists, but perhaps we need to look at another side of the picture. What we're seeing now could be attributed to failure on the part of security agencies, porous borders, corruption as well. Shouldn't we focus our attention there?
Well, thank you. We can be able to associate to anything, but again, we have to say security starts from you. Who is involved in these corrupt deals? Where are we supposed to obtain the information from? We should be able to share information, all of us, the members of public, the law enforcement agencies, and all the government people. Once we share information and information exchange, we shall deal with that. The porous border that we are talking about is also an area where we are focusing in terms of the government improving the resources that the law enforcement agencies should be provided to be able to carry out surveillance all along our borders. And therefore, as we do this, we must also get the support of the public in terms of giving us that particular information, and we shall be able to police our porous borders. We police our environment wherever we are. And remember, we need to work together on a community policing model. We need to join in on the areas of the community policing as well as the Nyumbakumi initiative that we have just initiated the other day, that we need the public to join on together like there before. Imagine during the independent time, for quite some time, Kenyans were very much alert, Kenyans were very vigilant, and they worked together with officers. We want to go back to that basic.
All right, so you agree that the attention should also be focused on the porous borders, because that's exactly where the issue begins.
And that is our focus. That's what we are focusing on. That all of us, we focus all our porous border and we share information as we policy.
All right. What are you doing to address the issue of the radicalization of youth particularly? And so it's an issue that we've seen raised over and over again. What are you doing about
we have come up, right now we have come up with a community policing policy document, and this particular document will be cascaded down to the grassroots level, to the village. That's what I mean about the lowest level. And in this particular case, we shall be able now to create an awareness raising to our members of the society, especially our youth, and then carry out an education, carry out sensitization, get to understand that being radicalized and commit atrocities of crime against another human being is not required. And therefore, that particular kind of an awareness raising education will be able to change their mindset and come back to reality as a normal human being.
Those who are involved in radicalization are known. Why isn't the government clamping down on them hard?
That is why we are pursuing this particular course of carrying out the swap everywhere. Some of them are known, some may not be known. But again, that costs also to the families.
Okay.
We need our families to get to know. If your child has left home or your son has left home for the last 2-3 months and he has come back with another behavior or another character, you get to understand that this person might have been radicalized. Can you report to the government? Get to understand that where was this particular young man during this particular period? Has he been radicalized? And then we can now move in to start to rehabilitate that particular person.
We need to
so that they are not radicalized at all.
We need to take a short break. Very quickly, Inspector General, the police have been accused of extrajudicial killings when it comes to those behind the so-called radicalization of youth. We saw it especially with Makaburi, Abudrogo. Where are we with regards to those investigations and those cases right now?
Well, we have the responsibility under our criminal procedure code. Our laws is very, very clear under criminal procedure code, and especially when you read it from 386 henceforth, it's very clear that any threat that has been reported to the police must be investigated, an inquest file must be opened so that it is taken to a magistrate to be able to hear that case in an open court.
All right,
and therefore, some of the cases that have been reported to us, we are investigating some of those cases like any other case. We do not know whether you are talking about the extrajudicial killing and by who. Because these are cases that need to be investigated. If any of us is involved or evidence direct that he is involved, then definitely the law will be able to take some course naturally.
I'll have to stop you there for the moment. We have to take a short break. Remember that we're asking you for your feedback. I'm using the hashtag The Big Question on Twitter or 22422. We're back after this break. Welcome back to The Big Question, and thank you for staying with us. Talk to us on 22422. Don't forget to leave your name and location and use the hashtag The Big Question on Twitter. We're still in studio with Inspector General, National Police Service, David Kimaiyo, and the National Police Service's position on the shoot to kill order. Could you just expound on that a little bit?
Well, thank you very much once again. There's nothing like shoot to kill order. There's nothing like shoot to kill order.
So what is it then?
It is indeed very clear in our legislation, especially when you read the National Police Service Act, the schedule that has been given therein on the justifiable instances of an officer using his firearm. And therefore, the police officer who has been officially issued with a firearm and signed for it is forced to use that firearm to protect life and property. And by so doing, it is not just to protect life and property. It is when the life of another person is in imminent danger. And at the same time, when his own personal life is also in imminent danger, and there is no other means of avoiding that particular danger, and therefore the officer is authorized, is justifiable to use his firearm. And that is very clear in our laws.
Let's go back to the police say that it's investigating bank accounts of certain people said to be financing these terrorists. Are these businessmen? What kind of profile of people are we looking at?
Well, when we talked about the issue of carrying out this operation, we are not only looking at the perpetrators or the criminals themselves who have committed the act. We're also looking at those people who finance the acts of terrorism. We are looking at sympathizers, those persons when somebody commits crime, they start clapping hands. They start really praising the terrorists. Those are the kind of people that we are looking for. And any other accomplice or a partner to that particular crime, we are looking for those persons. And therefore soon, we shall be able to release some results on those persons whom we are following in their funds account, in the individual way of being a sympathizer, or being part and parcel of an accomplice to a crime.
All right.
And therefore, those are the people we are looking for.
There's another question I want to ask. Ever since these terrorist threats particularly gained momentum, so to speak, in the country since 2011, how many people have been arrested? How many people have been investigated? What numbers are we looking at?
Well, there are quite a number of people that have been arrested during this particular investigation of that kind of an incident.
Yeah.
A number of people have been arrested. Some of them were interrogated, they recorded statements, they gave information to lead the police to where other suspects have been arrested.
Any convictions? Seems like there's been very few. Have there been any convictions?
We shall check the records and get to know some of the cases that were being heard. If they were finalized, then definitely we shall have convictions in those cases.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about this operation, and some saying that it's a threat to national cohesion. What do you have to say about that it being a threat to national cohesion? And what are you doing to unite Kenyans during this time?
Well, for me, I can say that unless somebody is inciting violence, somebody is inciting members of the society, but for the purpose of this operation, I don't think that we are dividing Kenyans. The National Police Service and all other national law enforcement agencies does not in any way carry out an exercise like this operation that we are doing to divide Kenyans.
Right.
If anything, we are bringing Kenyan closer. Okay. Because we are addressing the issue of a problem of a terrorist.
Okay.
We are addressing a crime. Now, who is dividing people among us, the members of the society? Are we dividing the criminals among us, the members of society, or we are dividing who?
All right.
If it is the issue of dividing criminals, let it be so.
Okay.
And we shall continue to deal with those criminals.
First of all, we do commend the efforts that you're making, Inspector General. I'd like to say that, but there's perception from people that can you deny that there's perception that this particular operation could be targeting certain communities or religion in particular? Can you deny that?
I can for sure tell you that our operation does not in any way target any community, target any religious group, or target any citizen of any other country. This operation is targeting criminals.
All right.
Is targeting terrorists. We are targeting atrocities of incidences of crime where we are following the leads to arrest certain personalities.
Okay, Inspector General, again, I appreciate that. I agree with you, the fact that you're going out of your way to fight terrorism. But do you see that there could be that perception? And if so, what are you doing about it? How can you, or what can you say right now to make Kenyans feel that this is not something that's dividing them? This is in fact something that the country needs right now, because that is one of your roles. So how would you want to communicate that to Kenyans to let them know that this is not divisive in any way? This is actually something for them, in favor of them.
Well, I want to tell all the Kenyans in this country that for the sake of security to prevail in our country, for peace to prevail, we must embrace this kind of an operation that we are carrying out. Because it is not targeting any individual, an innocent individual, but we are targeting a criminal. If those individuals who are criminals that we are targeting, then definitely we need concerted effort by all Kenyans to support this particular operation. And therefore, there should be no fear of any kind by anybody who is innocent, who has not committed any crime at all. But a criminal must be, at the moment, be having a lot of fear. If that is the Kenya that we are talking about, that we are separating the criminals from amongst the other criminals, then definitely let it be that particular case.
All right.
But therefore, there should be no any worry at all for any innocent member of society. Let him or her move freely. Let him join us in this particular concerted effort to fight the acts of terrorism in our country, to fight the criminals' activities in our country.
Okay,
we have no
General.
business at all to deal with any innocent member of society. Right. That is the person that we welcome, and they need to work freely.
Thank you for that message. Let's now take some views from Twitter. We're going to take some questions for the Inspector General on Twitter. Let's see if we can have those on the screens and then direct them to... Okay, there we have it. We have Jonathan Rono1. The government is on the right track. We must read all contributing to insecurity to our nation. So we also have some comments coming in. At Etiang Eliemod, fighting corruption will go a long way to improve general security concerns. Then we have the government is not doing enough as the real financiers and sponsors of terrorism are still unknown. He touched on that briefly moments ago. The government should strategize on how to prevent terror attacks and be prepared and not wait until attacked. And then every Kenyan should play a role in security by knowing people around you and reporting people with suspicious character. What of corrupt officials from the immigration department who necessitated the access of forged documents by illegal immigrants? Okay, then we have how many confirmed terror suspects have been arrested so far? I posed that question moments ago. Do they have search warrants to enter people's houses? Okay, the government should have done this a long time ago. It's the best step ever to curb insecurity rather. And then we have, how will one know if it is police or thugs in police uniform conducting house-to-house searches during the night? And I think that ties in with the search warrant. And do we have some more? What are you doing on the reported plot to kill? Okay. I don't know whether that's something that we can... Okay. I think that's what we can sample for now. Inspector General, the search warrants, people have raised those concerns before. Do they have search warrants before they enter people's houses?
Well, thank you. I think I want to create that kind of an awareness to the members of public that we have two options when we are carrying out the searches. The first option is where you think and suspect that there are some items that have been hidden or there are some personalities that are hiding somewhere. And you have time to be able to apply to court and get a search warrant. But again, where we are carrying a security operation of an emergency nature or an operation that may not need time for us to be able to catch up whoever that we wanted to, then definitely we have to record that one in our records or in our books, especially in our current book, and we move in very quickly to carry out that particular swap. Therefore, there is start authorization by law. And we are not doing all these things without following the due process of the law.
Can I ask about people concerned not knowing the difference between thugs or thugs in police uniform or genuine police officers? Can you address that for us?
Well, the Kenyans should also be able to care to know that the police officer in uniform or not in uniform is supposed to produce on request his certificate of appointment. He should be able to display his name tag, like the name that I have now here.
Do they work with this certificate?
Definitely. Every police officer must work. Even me now, you ask me, I'll also produce mine.
Okay. Could you produce it?
To identify myself that this is Mr. Kimaiyo.
We know that you're the Inspector General. Do you have the certificate to show us?
Of course.
Is it with
Why
you?
not?
Okay.
You want me to show you?
Show us so that we know what it looks. Yes, please. Please feel free to show. We have no doubt that we're talking to the Inspector General, but it's important for Kenyans to see what these certificates may look like and perhaps be able to ask people. The importance of this is that Kenyans will be asking. I don't know whether we can get, what camera should I use? Okay, so that's what it looks like. Let's see if I can hold it up there. Okay, but this is more like an ID. Is this what it's supposed to look like?
This is a certificate of appointment telling you
yes.
This is Mr. Kimaiyo.
Okay, so everyone...
And it identifies me as a police officer.
All right, so everyone should, the genuine police officers
of any rank must have this.
Okay. All right, there we go. Thank you so much for producing that. Like I said, we know it's you, so there is no doubt. Inspector General, let's move to matters of the police service. And where are we in terms of the police to civilian ratio? Do we have enough security officers to protect the number of Kenyans in the country?
Well, that's also very, very important for the public to know that at the moment the requirement internationally is the ratio of a police officer is 1 to 450 persons. And that is the international requirement. And when we talk of international requirement, Janet, is that you are well equipped, properly equipped. You have your own motor vehicle that you are driving. You have your own computers that have been fixed and set in the vehicle. You have your own other communication gadgets in the same vehicle. Okay. You have your own equipment, all manner of equipment that you require to be able to perform a duty of a police officer.
All right.
And again, the area of coverage where you are covering could be probably just one building. This particular building where we are in could be hosting 450 people. But in terms of our ratio here in Kenya, it is far away from the international requirement.
Something that you're concerned about?
You could be able to see in Kenya we could be having one policeman being able to manage almost 800 persons at a go. And these 800 persons are living in farms. They are living in far villages and manyatas. The distance that you travel from one homestead to another is far distant.
Which brings us into welfare, Inspector General. Our concerns about the lack of motivation within the police force. I think we've heard that before. There's a lot of new graduates who are going to enter the police service, and yet, and you correct me if I'm wrong, there isn't enough for them in terms of welfare, in terms of housing and finances. What are your concerns with regards to that?
Well, I want to welcome all Kenyans who are eligible to join the National Police Service. If they have the requisite requirement that is required, then please, they should be able to join us and be able to provide the services to the Kenyans that is required of us. The National Police Service, I can say for sure at the moment, is that the current government of our President Uhuru Kenyatta, Deputy President Ruto, together with the cabinet secretaries and the entire government, they have come out very strongly to look at the issues of the police welfare.
Okay, so they're looking
when we look at the issues of police welfare, we are talking about their housing, their motivation in terms of salaries and allowances, the resources that they are supposed to use. And for sure, we can be able to see tangible issues that have already been taking place. We could be able to talk about 1,200 vehicles that we have never seen it before in the current system of the government. We have seen houses coming up, the accommodation of the officers, though they have not been rolled out to other parts of the country, but the process is ongoing. We have seen the officers that they have been paid their allowances that have been pending for quite a long time. We are now seeing soon the officers getting the insurance cover, which it has never been there before.
So it's being looked into.
Quite a number of good things are coming on board, and that's why I'm encouraging that those Kenyans outside there, immediately after we graduate all the recruits we have now, then they should be able to join and be recruited to join the National Police Service.
All right, Inspector
We are
General.
now a service, not a police service.
All right. A final question on Twitter, which I cut short to continue with the interview. Let's put that up again on the screens. We cut it short to continue with the interview, but it's imperative that we go back to it. Let's see if we do we have that tweet? Can we put it? Okay, Inspector General, let's discuss this. That's coming up. The government, what are you doing on the reported plot to kill Robert Alai? He's a prominent blogger. These are reports that have surfaced. What are you doing what are you doing about that?
Well, thank you very much. I wanted to encourage that particular individual Kenyan called Robert Alai, that he is encouraged to report the murder to the police station if he has not reported to. And I'm very sure that no report so far has been reported to my office of any threat of any kind. And if he has not reported to any police station, he can report to the Inspector General. And we can be able to appoint an investigator to deal with that investigation very firmly.
He recorded a statement.
He should be agreed to do that.
He recorded a statement at the Central Police Station.
Yes.
So he's already reported it to the police.
Then definitely, then whoever is investigating that case, we shall be able to make a follow-up.
All right.
And see that there is sufficient evidence to prove a case against any individual who is known to be threatening the life of Robert Alai.
All right. Inspector General, National Police Service, David Kimaiyo, I thank you for sharing your thoughts and for answering our questions tonight. Once again, Kenyans commend you on the work that you're doing, and we hope that this will yield success. If you're talking about being able to nab terrorists, then hopefully we'll be able to yield successes. I don't know whether we have some SMSs ready. We'll see if we can get those in just a moment. But for now, we are going to take a short break. We'll be right back on The Big Question with some of your texts, and then we're going to wind up. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're the final part now of The Big Question. Inspector General, just a question as well to you about crime in areas like Ngong and Karen, which we've heard a lot of reports that the incidents are on the rise. How are you containing insecurity in these parts of Nairobi?
Well, thank you. That is another area that we were carrying out the operation, even before the planned operation that we are now carrying out, that we have been able to net a large number of persons that we suspected to have committed a crime. And just this weekend, one of the criminals or wanted criminals that we were looking for a long time, who committed crimes, including the incident where it was involving the Samburu East Member of Parliament, and other known personalities within those particular environs of Madarongai, Ngong, Karen, and other areas.
So
he was able to meet with the police. He was challenged, and later on he exchanged fire with police, but unfortunately he was eliminated.
All right.
This is a concerted effort that is being done by officers everywhere now within the city. And we have whipped up security, we have increased number of personnel, and even the mobility of vehicles. We want to see that those persons living along all those other areas, then they are living in peace in those estates. All
right, thank you. We'll keep following up on that. Before I give you a final comments, Jane from Nairobi on SMS says, I'm in full support of the exercise. We're unable to community police ourselves and instead blame the government. I'm happy that they've heeded our calls. So some people commending you. Your final comments, I know that you mentioned you wanted to commend some of your men. If I can ask you to do that very briefly before we wind up.
Well, thank you very much. I will take a very short time. But I want to, first of all, commend the officers who have been carrying out this operation, especially the Nairobi County, led by the chairman of the County Security Intelligence Committee, that is the former provincial commissioner and current county commissioner, Mr. Ndirangu, together with his team of the current county police commander, Mr. Kivue, and the rest of the team. And again, all the officers who have joined in, including the new officers who have just graduated. Then finally, I want also in a special way, in a very, very special way, Janet, to take this opportunity in a very humane and humble way that I want to congratulate Her Excellency the First Lady. It is actually history in this particular country that we are making, that the First Lady has been able to complete 42 kilometers. It is amazing, and especially even at her age. But again, secondly, not only her alone, and then the sterling performance by our athletes led by Wilson Kipsang, led another athlete is Stanley Piwot, Edna Kiblagat, and Florence Kiblagat as well. These are officers who have done a very, very commendable job. Remember, these are the members of the National Police Service. They are not just other Kenyans. They are officers of the service, and we want to congratulate them for the good job that they have done.
Thank you very much.
Very high.
Thank you very much, Inspector General. I understand we have a few more tweets before we finally wind up for the night. The war on terror is not to be compromised. That's Edwin Munene. Then at John_Ansaki12, I support the government on this 100%. It's late, but very important. And then we have at Anonymous_Kenya, the operation is not dividing Kenyans, it's separating the bad Kenyans from the good Kenyans. And then we have, we as Kenyans must appreciate the fact that the government cannot fight terrorism alone. We must play our role too. So a lot of you reiterating what the Inspector General said. And finally, our national intelligence is not doing enough. All right, that's the views. Inspector General, I appreciate you taking time to come to our studio. Sometimes we have to ask the tough questions, but all the same, thank you for taking time to talk to Kenyans during this time, during the operation, and for reassuring them that they remain your #1 priority. I appreciate you coming to our studios. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Janet. I also want to congratulate the media. Especially at this particular time. That have been reporting very positively. And the rest of the Kenyans who have supported this, and they continue to support. We thank them, and we shall continue working together to provide a peaceful environment and the economy of this country to grow 24-hour basis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm Janet Mbogwa. Many thanks for watching The Big Question tonight. We're back on air with you next week with Hussein Mohammed. Have a good night.